Moving on, we arrive at our 8th session of the day, focused on an area that forms the backbone of India's entrepreneurial landscape, reinitiating growth in family businesses. This session will navigate the unique opportunities and challenges that family businesses face and explore how they can stimulate growth in the ever-evolving market landscape. Our speakers for this session have lived these challenges and come out triumphant. Firstly, Mr. Ravi Todi, the Managing Director of Shrachi Group, a leading business conglomerate in India. Mr. Todi's efforts have been instrumental in ensuring continuous growth and diversification of the family-run business in tune with changing times. His experience offers invaluable insights into managing and scaling family businesses. Our next speaker, we have Mr. Sidharth Pansari, the dynamic Managing Director of Primarc Projects. Under his leadership, the company has reached new heights, demonstrating the successful evolution of a family-run business. His journey of bringing innovation to tradition stands as an inspiration to many. This promising conversation will be moderated by Mr. Samir Agarwal, Managing Director of Indcap Advisors. Mr. Agarwal's deep understanding of business transitions and growth strategies, combined with his years of experience in the financial sector, makes him an ideal guide for this discussion. Together, our speakers bring an immense wealth of practical wisdom and hands-on experience in reigniting growth in family businesses. As we delve into our 8th session at TiEcon Kolkata 2023, let's gear up for this session that promises to be an enlightening as it is inspiring.
Thank you so much. Am I audible till the last? Can you guys hear? Can anyone raise hand? Yeah, I can see that. Thank you so much. Welcome, guys. I know it's a little tough session, post-lunch, after a lunch, generally you want to sleep. But you know, the topic itself is very exciting, and especially in Calcutta market where family businesses thrive. I have with me two doyens of family businesses who have, at least on my personal level, I remember interacting probably with Ravi ji for more than 15 years, and with Sidharth's family also for more than 15 years now. And I have dealt with the generations, their fathers, and with them now. So I have seen how family businesses are evolving and how it is taking growth and taking shape. So, you know, without taking much of a time, I'll request both the panelists, Ravi ji and Sidharth, to just give a very quick round of introduction about themselves, about the group, and then probably we can move on to the Q&A kind of a panel kind of a session. Ravi ji, maybe we start with you.
Thank you, Samir. Okay, so it's a very diversified group. Shrachi, we went to real estate, we went to engineering, agro-machinery, a lot of startups we have invested. We are also co-promoters of South City Mall and the school and the projects and Urbana. So it's a very diversified group. It's my father who passed away 2 years back, who started this after a family split about 30 years back. Me and my younger brother are now handling the businesses. I handle the engineering, agro and other piece, and real estate piece is being handled by my brother.
Truly diversified. Sidharth, we all know as Primarc Group, but I think there's a lot of history behind your group.
No, not so much of history, and neither so diversified. Born into a very simple and humble family in Calcutta. Our roots are from Calcutta in Bengal. Largely into retail. Till 10 years back, we decided also to venture into real estate. So largely into retail and real estate today. And also an online business retail that largely runs out of Bombay. But as a family, we largely into retail and real estate.
Thank you so much. So, you know, when we talk about family business, we know that it's an inheritance. People generally talk about, you know, my grandfathers, forefathers, my fathers have been continuing generations of business. How was it for you guys? You know, your father was there, your father had started the retailing business. How did you think that inheriting something and expanding it, or inheriting it and just making it grow? What kind of thought process was there when you were first told that it's a family business and you need to come back into the business? Was it challenging, or was it encouraging? Was it like, you know, by default you have to do it?
So I'll share my story, how I started, how it did go. So still, I was still studying, finished my graduation, class 12 from Don Bosco and started my St. Xavier's journey. I was supposed to go to US for my higher studies, but we had a family split. Papa and all were 4 brothers. So naturally, I couldn't leave him and I had to join the family business. Was attending college, morning St. Xavier's College, and finishing by 9 o'clock and then go straight to offices. I started my journey in the paper mill, joint family business, Supreme Paper Mill. We had a paper mill at Chagda, and I started my journey there. And I was 6 months to 1 year, I spent time at everyone's desk. I was not given any chamber, I was not given any table also. Started right from the dispatch department. That was a plan made by my father, chartered my thing that you should work with the people from the lowest level. So I started opening letters from the dispatch department. That time, emails and all, I'm talking about 1991. The emails and all were not so prominent. Opening letters, sending inquiries manually, marketing. Every department I went through for the next 6 months to 1 year, and that is how I started my journey. So finished that, and then the family split happened, and there was a finance business that we were handling, hire purchase and lease, which we were doing as a family. So as the split, every brother had some portion of that, and my father has never handled. He was always handling engineering and real estate. So he said, you have to learn this, and I started learning the similar way. 6 months I went into that thing, and then I started handling my real estate, the finance business. One thing that my father did from day one was, you should take your own decisions. He never interfered in day-to-day of my journey in the finance business. Every month there was a MIS which I had to report to him and discuss, and that is how I learned, made mistakes, but that was all part of the learning. So this is how I did, merge my finance company with Magma, sold my stake in 2011, and that's where I entered my engineering business, BTL EPC, which is the main flagship company now in our group now. When I took over, when I started in 2000, after I sold my stake, I started going to the factory, and that's where my father was handling that business. So within 6 months, he realized that, you can't have 2 people handling that business. And also, people were taking advantage because I had my different mindset, I had a different thought process. I wanted to grow the business. Father, being conservative, had his own style. As the people been with in the company for donkey years, so they had their own thought process. So he took a back seat within 6 months. He said, let you handle it. And he gave this message to the team that all decisions will now, you have to talk to Ravi for taking it forward. I think that is very critical for all of us, for future businesses, that you need to give that space to the younger generation to enter the business and give them the freedom to work. This is how I got into it. When I got into it, the turnover was about 75 crores. Today, we've crossed 500 crores plus turnover, looking at an order book of 2,000 crores plus. One of the diversified EPC players from Calcutta. And the journey has been enriching, not
Excellent.
easy,
I think
not difficult.
that's where we wanted to understand, and I would like to take Sidharth's view on this. Ravi ji made a very fine point that, in a family business, whenever there is a generation change happening, we have seen the older people generally conservative in approach, slow and steady wins the race. But what we have seen, the newer generation is like fast and focused. So there has been a paradigm shift between what the earlier generation was thinking and what the current generation is thinking. I'm sure you would have faced similar instances and how you have overcome it. You have multiple people in your family to run the businesses, your brothers. So any challenges you faced, or it was all very well planned and managed, and it has taken shape?
See, in a family, there will always be friction, but well-defined processes, and I think good communication amongst family members are able to resolve those differences or issues as you move forward. I have normally seen Normally in family businesses, the intent of everybody is the same. There is no largely different intent. Everybody wants to make money. Everybody wants to make more money. Everybody wants more. It's normally that we fail to communicate with each other that creates those gaps. In my case, I was not so lucky to inherit any business. And that is a thought that I want to leave with everybody here. Ki instead of thinking of inheriting a business, think of inheriting a culture, inheriting an institution, inheriting values and systems, and a lot of goodwill from your generation, which then you can mold in your own way and move forward.
Absolutely. I think very valid points that rather than taking it as inheriting a business, you are inheriting a culture and try to grow on that. So, when I initially met your father long time back, that point of time I was knowing as a retail business, and probably Raviji, when we met first time, it was purely a finance business. But you all have pivoted, you have moved to real estate, you have moved to engineering, retail, other businesses. That's exactly the theme today, is reinitiating growth in family businesses. So it's very easy to say that, I'll just grow on whatever is there, but then adding on verticals, adding on new spheres. Wasn't it challenging, or what was the thought process that you kept on thinking about new verticals getting added?
I think it's a very valid point, and that is what most businesses in Calcutta and Bengal struggle. There is an underemployment and over redundancy that we build into our businesses. A business that was being run by one person is today being run by 3 or 4 people without any growth.
True.
So from us, we were all always aligned that we want to create more value. 50% of 10 crores is 5 crore rupees, and 25% of 100 crores is 25 crore rupees. So the idea was that if there were more hands into the business, some businesses can expand geographically, some can expand vertically, some can expand horizontally, and some you need to create new businesses. Many businesses that I see in Calcutta out of my friends and different keys, somehow there's more friction because the business has not expanded. People are fighting for the same pie.
Same pie.
So I think we were very clear, and I think that vision also goes to my dad, that he was very clear, we want to create, even if you're in the shop business, I want to create different shops for you guys.
Exactly.
So that otherwise, it's always gonna be a challenge. So the vision was very clear that we wanted to start something. We fished out, we tried an export business, we tried 2-3 other things till we found our own feet.
True. Raviji, I myself was involved in a large family settlement deal last year, and I have seen how family businesses, if work together, can grow exponentially, and if there is a lot of friction, it can actually create a lot of destruction as well. I mean, I have seen family businesses getting split as well. I mean, and that's how the split businesses have grown exponentially. Now the split could be geographically, keeping the same brand but operating in different geographies, or split could be across the product verticals, that this product goes to them. What's your take? How do you see this particular aspect of clarity, which even Sidharth spoke about, that his father was very clear, there's going to create certain separate verticals. How do you see this as a common factor across all family businesses?
No,
and how important it is?
No, I think it's very critical, and in my family business also, my father gave the responsibility of real estate to my brother, and I was handling the finance business, NBFC part, which I finally exited in 2011-12, and then I got into engineering and the agro machinery. So there was always a line of control, there was always a clear clarity of division of work. I did not get into real estate on a day-to-day basis, and he never got into the engineering and agro. So that's very, very important, and everybody needs that space because their style of working is very different. My father's style was ultra conservative. My brother, being a younger guy, 7-8 years younger to me, he is an aggressive type, and I'm somewhere in between. So the style of working, the thought process is always going to be different. Same I can say for Sidharth and his brothers. I know them very well. We work together. So it's always a challenge that in a family business, role clarity should be there. And as Sidharth said, communication is very, very critical. You have to communicate. This communication is the reason for issues that, they keep on, they keep on assimilating, and then one day it will boil and it will burst. So that's very, very important.
Now, so one aspect is you inheriting or culture or the values and the business and trying to grow it. There's a tremendous amount of learning which has gone into whatever you have done. And I believe for you, I know the next generation is now stepping in, they are getting into the businesses. For Sidharth, it will be. What do you see that, is this something which you have inherited, which is going to continue and you're going to impart the same thing to the next generation? Or you believe there's a lot to talk about, new experiences which you want to give it to your next generation?
So I'll go first. I have two daughters. The elder one did her undergrads from Wisconsin-Madison, and then she went to do an MBA in London Business School, and she graduated from there and now working with KPMG in London. So she told me, I told her come back and start working with me, but she said, give me some time. I've studied so much. I want to experience, work with companies here, get some thing, and then I'll come back and then implement a lot of. So that's what, at the moment she's not joined me formally, but my younger one did her undergrads about 1.5, 2 years back from US, and she came back and she joined me after COVID. She joined me in business. So she's been with me now for a year, and it's very refreshing to see these younger generation work. I can tell you, they are full of ideas, they're full of new things which you cannot imagine. I'm in the 50 plus category, so I don't know, but you guys are young here. But I'm
so
just saying.
Is it rather than they learning, we are actually learning?
We are actually learning, because the technology, the use of chat GPT, something which was unheard in our times, in our business, how life can be easier, how things can be much more easier. But the use of technology, the ideas, their negotiation skills, what they have been taught in their college, it's amazing, and it's very important for us to give this younger generation some freedom to work, not restrict them with your ideas. Let them glow, let them fly, let them come with new ideas, and support them, and let them learn from their mistakes.
Siddharth.
I'll say one of my favorite quotes here, and Amish Tripathi wrote in his book, there is my truth and there is your truth, there is no universal truth. So there is no one rule that applies to everything. My personal view is that tomorrow for a next generation coming, or even me coming, it's not only about culture and values, it's a platform. It's an ecosystem which you inherit based on what each child wants to do, whether they want to create something new or want to run that business their way, they have to find their own path. That ecosystem helps providing them with an initial support, whether it's capital, whether it's mentorship, whether, not having to prove every day, they don't need to go and prove every day. They give them a time of training, internship, whatever you might call it. And then each business, based on the nature of the business, technology, non-technology, some technology-enabled business will need much faster and much larger decisions. So it's all to each. There's no right answer. Each business, each generation has to decide their own.
It's all case specific, but I think the point which I take from Raviji on this is that there's a lot to learn from the other side also, from the younger generation, because of the newer products. They are more tech savvy, and probably they teach us how to do an exponential growth of our business, maybe 5 times, 10 times on those front. So that's bring to my next question to the panel is, there's a lot of focus on systems and practices which needs to be built in. Most of the next generation are doing higher studies, and they've been talked about all those ITs and something which we talk. In family businesses, historically or we have seen that, there is a very less adoption of all this IT infrastructure or, systems and practices. It's all about what used to be a Munimji culture has evolved into more little systematic culture. But to adopt a culture of a larger organization into a family business, how tough it is or how easy it is?
I think it's much easier today, because today each one is experiencing technology every day through their mobile phone, whether it's booking a ticket or an app or something, to a sleep app, so you're much used to it than what our fathers were used to it, because they were not so exposed. Today the speed at which technology is going, it's really fast. So I don't think it's such a big of an issue. Again, each organization, each industry will have their own pluses, minuses, speed, everything.
What about you, Raviji?
So when I entered the business in 2011-12, when I went to do the factory, the engineering division, which was run by my father, we didn't even have our own domain name email ID. Everybody was using a Gmail or a Hotmail or everything. The first thing I did was to stop all that because there were no data security, there were no controls, no proper networking. Everything was in a mess. Technology was the last thing that was in the mind of the people because they had all been in this, because our factory is almost 50, 60 years old. The people there were more than 25, 30 years been working with them. So they never understood what technology is required. So first thing I did was to do that, get the websites updated, get all the security controls. So that was a big, it was not easy. These guys were not ready to adopt, and that's the biggest challenge. System processes were not understood. Everything was manual or verbally. So to get system processes in place, it has taken, and still the journey is on. I won't say we have overcome everything. It's still a learning process. People have to understand. That's what we've been telling them. Let technology, it should not be oriented on one person. It should be on system process should run the company, not one individual should run.
No, I take that point. So in my consulting practice, which has been there for almost about 18 to 20 years, 90% of our clientele are family businesses. And we have seen the transition which has happened, at least in the Kolkata market, from from a Munimji culture to a very professional culture, it has evolved. And the younger generation is actually embracing all the technology and everything. I think the time chart here is showing us that we are actually running out of time. The sessions are going late. I would like to put it to the floor if you have any questions. Otherwise, I'll have a couple of more questions which I'll take. But yes, first to the audience, if anyone just like to. Do we have mics there in the audience? Can we have anyone? Can we have mics in the audience, please? Do we have? Or maybe someone can just take it. Okay, just one question. Maybe you can just stand and shout a bit if we don't have mic.
To your and your brother's style of working, right? How do you, and now you have your daughters working with you, I know Ria, by the way. How do you prepare your organization for change management, especially on the leadership level, because they were taking instructions historically from your father, now from you, maybe then from your daughters, etc. And how does that percolate down to the base level as well?
Good question, and that was the biggest challenge I faced when I entered. I was very clear, I don't want to go as SK Todi's son to my father's company where it was his strong. So I was very clear, I want to contribute, I want to get everybody involved and show them how I can make the difference in the company. So that is with that mindset, anybody should go into the company, not think that I'm inheriting. And as I told you, when I started my journey, I didn't get a chamber or a table or chair also. I went around everybody's thing. So this is very, very critical. It was not easy to get accepted. People thought a young boy, what will he do? How will he manage everything? So it was very difficult. It was not easy at all. So when my daughter Ria has got into it, this is what I've been telling. And as I said, my father took the step of 6 months later. He said, no, go and ask Ravi if you want any decision. Otherwise, they're playing against each other. They're telling him something, telling me something. So after that, he took a decision. No, you go and ask him. Let him take the charge. So this is what I plan to do. I've been doing it.
Very
Certain
nice.
decisions I've been asking her to take.
Actually, one last question, Vikas.
So this question is to Sidharth. Sidharth, when you come from a business background, there's a lot of experience that's there in the family. And the younger generation tends to take decision more based on data and technology and things like that. How do you deal with a situation where your gut says something else, but the data says something else? Do you still go by your gut, or you still follow
See,
data?
it again depends case to case and how strong your gut is. You will always be biased towards your gut. So, if you feel this stock is good, you'll always feel, because, if you're bringing a business, you'll always be biased towards it. So you have to learn to listen to others. And what he just asked, just to add to what Ravi said now, when you're going into a different, you have to learn to listen to the older people as well, who have been there in the business. A lot of times when we go as promoters and inherit something, we feel we know everything. So when you participate, you have to learn. So on the question, it's very difficult to answer. I have mostly followed my gut, but I'm very passionate towards data. So data makes my gut stronger or it makes it weaker. So I actually go by both.
Get your point. Thank you
I
so
just
much.
like to add, ultimately it's data. I strongly believe, and this is what in last 2-3 years I've changed. I've told my people, change the mindset. Look at the data. Data will tell you what you are doing wrong. Why you've not been able to achieve your production. Why you've not able to reach your goals. Which are the markets you should penetrate. Data, you have to look at data, analyze the data. That will tell you everything. Otherwise, gut is important. Gut is very, very important. But at the down the line level, data is what helps you to drive the decisions.
Thank you so much, everyone. I think I'll leave it on Tamika now.
Thank you. After a detailed discussion on reinitiating growth in family businesses, it's time to thank our speakers and moderator. I'd like to request Mr. Bimal Patwari, President TiEcon Kolkata, along with Manish Jain of T Raja, to please come on stage.